folks. I'm Barry McCarthy, and this is my somewhat first video teaching watercolors online because of this craziness that's going on. I'm going to try to make this as personal as possible, low-key. If we make mistakes, so be it. It's what it is. Not much different than when I'm live in real time with you in the workshops. So anyways, I thought I would start out by thank you and welcoming you to something that's kind of new and different. And we just have to do what we've got to do to get through all of this. And this has been a real learning curve for me. It's taken quite a bit of thought, but I think I've got it. And let's just see what happens with all of this. I'm going to start out not much different than when I was teaching in the room at the Masonic Hall. I want to begin the workshop by impressing upon you the importance of the principles and elements of design. These are what I call the rules that govern good design. I think, painting is not much different than playing chess or any board game. You have to know the rules if you want to win. And the better you understand the rules, the higher the chances of you winning the game. The other little bit too is these are words that are not uncommon, but they're words that are in our creative world that we use to address certain elements of a painting. Artists need to utilize these words, and collectors obviously know a little bit about art, and they can apply these words to what they like and what they don't like. These are concepts, and the creative process, we're in painting in the art world, but certainly a musician uses the same words, the same ideas and concepts to hold someone's attention, and that's what we're doing here. We're just trying to keep the viewer for the 2.5 second rule, get the wow factor out of them, and hopefully they'll walk away feeling uplifted and the painting is memorable because you played the game properly. So let's go through these now. This is a chart that I made up. It's a bit of a mind mapping. I've labeled the elements of design on this side of the map. The ultimate goal is what we're after here: harmony, unity, climatic tension. Unity, these are all of the units, and when they all play together, you get unity. Climatic tension, we'll talk about in a minute. Principles of design, these are the concepts that define interesting and variety of line or shape or form or color or texture. Okay, and it's an absolute necessity to know these, understand them, and utilize them. And the more you utilize them, the better your chances of success. So let's start. This is how we use the chart. Interesting and variety of line, shape, form, color, texture gives way to harmony, unity, climatic tension through the use of the principles of design. These are big. These are the concepts that work. Repetition of line, shape, form, color, texture. Rhythm and movement through line, shape, form, color, texture. Contrast. You get the idea. Positive and negative space. We'll talk all about these. I'll break them down, not in depth. We don't have time here, but I'll certainly give you an idea why they work. Positive, negative space, balance, mass, weight, and volume, silhouette, static, dynamic tension, mood, center of interest, focal point, and zigzag. That's mine. These are words you'll find in art concept books, how-to books, how to paint, the theories behind painting. This little word over here is value, and it's quite valuable. I I'm never too sure which side of the chart it should go on. I just put a star beside it because it has its own nature. Let's talk about that because we're here anyways. When I'm teaching and we're doing watercolors, and some of the principles in watercolor too is light to dark. So sometimes students get too far ahead of themselves and they paint their paintings, they're too dark. And I'll say, oh, that should be a number 3 value right now. You can get to 4 and 5 later, but start out with 3 and then work your way up. So 0 is white of the paper, 10 is dark, the darkest part of the painting, and 3 would be like a number 3 value, just a soft, very soft value, like yellow. Anyways, so this is probably a 3, this is probably a 4, this is maybe 6 or 7, not going to get picky there. These are 8, 9, 10 down at the bottom. And this gives us the weight and the mass that we're looking for to anchor the painting, which I'll talk about in a minute. Okay, so line. Interesting variety of line. It should have, lines that take you to the focal point, which is our ultimate goal. And we want all of the units to come in to the triangle. You see the trees make triangles. These grasses point up to the triangle. These are all compositional devices. They're not accidental. It's all thought out and planned. I got certain little lines that point you back up into the tree. Certainly these lines come up and they point towards the tree so that when you move around the painting, you tend to kind of come back to the focal point. Shape. I just did shape. It's hard not to talk about one of the principles and isolate them. They tend to overlap. This is a triangle, and these are oblong shapes, and they tend to work their way up, like I said, to the focal point, to the apex of the triangle, which is, I would say, the left-hand third of the picture plane, which I'll talk about in a minute, called the rule of thirds. Shape is two-dimensional, and we want to make sure that the shapes are interesting. If they're not and they don't change, then you will have shapes that are boring. So, for example, these shapes up in through here, the positive shapes and the negative shapes, the ins and outs, creates interest. Okay? So I would much rather paint a pine tree rather than a spruce tree because it's way more interesting. Form. Form is 3D. It's the illusion of 3D. It's the rock coming up looking like it's rock with a light source coming in this way. It usually has shadow underneath it. We use form a lot in sculpture. We can't avoid that word because sculpture is, in the round, you walk around something and you play with its forms and the shapes, its silhouette. So, not to confuse you too much, we deal with shapes primarily in painting, but if we're doing a vase or a still life with flowers in it, we want to make sure that vase looks three-dimensional. Color. Roy G. Biv is the color wheel, red, yellow, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and indigo violet. I like to keep my colors to a minimum. I don't like splashing too much down. I like to keep them to the same side of the color wheel so they all belong to the same family. But warm colors and cool colors, definitely, they come together. There are complementary colors. They discovered this system back in the turn of the century. It was a scientist by the name of Chevreul, and he discovered that the brain likes to see complementary colors. And I'm not too sure why that works, but I don't negate it. I use it. Monet used it, Degas, all the great Impressionists caught on to the theory of using complementary colors in a painting, and it enhances the subject matter. So you have your system of the seasons, like red and green at Christmas, yellow and purple for Easter, and orange and blue. We don't have a season for that, but they do look together, and I use them. I try to use them all in one painting. If I use green somewhere, I'll make sure there's red somewhere, because the brain likes to see the opposite side of the wheel in a painting. All right, enough of that. Texture, I love texture. I'm about texture. I think I was collecting antiques the same time as I was learning how to paint. I found myself loving old things that were falling apart. Old toys, old antique toys, old cabinets with scratched paint, chipped paint, peeled paint, layers of paint, and I liked painting those cabinets with a tin toy on top of it or something like that. It certainly gives it more interest, better than painting, say, a piece of furniture from IKEA. These are, pieces of furniture that have character, and that's what we're after. We're looking for the interest and the variety of texture, and I get that when I paint old things. And you play texture off, contrast, the word over there, against something smooth. So if you see down at the bottom here, there's lots of texture here, but the brain likes to see something, say, where it can escape out, something simple, something soft, non-challenging, the contrast of texture versus a smooth, flat area, yin-yang, balance. I'm not one for painting clouds. I find it gets too busy. Clouds are really hard to do, and it'll ruin a painting if you don't get them right. Finally, value, as I said before, there's different values in a painting. We go from 10, which gives the painting some weight, holds it down, 1 and 2 and 3 up top, where it floats off, and sometimes a painting can make a circle coming around this way, and hopefully the viewer's eye will go around this way. And you control that by the values of the colors. Coming into gives way to harmony, unity, climatic tension, and we have the climatic tension here like a crescendo in a piece of music. That is climatic tension. And we all know we like listening to Pink Floyd, and Pink Floyd starts off nice and soft and mellow, and then 3/4 through the music, all the instruments are kicking in, the volume's up, and this is when you start to get off the couch and dance, because it just, it kicks. So we have that too in painting. You do that with lighting and shape.